Khabib Nurmagomedov's voice still carries weight across the UFC, even in retirement. As UFC 319 approaches, a card that promises fireworks and grudge matches across the board, one of the most buzzed-about storylines doesn't involve the reigning champions or returning veterans. It revolves around Khamzat Chimaev, the Chechen-born, Sweden-trained phenom who continues to polarize the sport. His upcoming bout, rumored to be against either a top middleweight contender or for an interim title, has once again thrust him into the limelight. But this time, the spotlight burns hotter than ever, because Khabib himself has stepped in with a rare public warning. When Khabib speaks, fighters listen. Known not just as the former undefeated lightweight champion but also as a philosopher of sorts within the MMA world, Khabib has rarely used his platform to criticize. Yet, during a press interview while promoting his coaching camp in Dagestan, he addressed Chimaev directly, sending a message laced with both concern and caution. Khamzat is a warrior, no doubt, Khabib said in his signature calm tone. But in this game, it's not only about how strong you are. It's about how smart, how disciplined, how focused. Fame is dangerous. Ego is dangerous. I hope he knows that. The message, though framed as advice, quickly made headlines. Fans and pundits debated whether Khabib's comments were a subtle dig or a heartfelt plea. Either way, it didn't take long for Chimaev to respond. Within hours, he took to social media, posting a shirtless photo of himself in training, accompanied by a fiery caption, "I don't need advice. I'm ready to smash anyone. I'm coming to take everything." The back and forth ignited a media frenzy. MMA podcasts, YouTube analysts, and Instagram reels dissected every word. Was this the beginning of a rift between two of the most dominant names in Eastern MMA? Or was it simply the collision of two philosophies, Khabib's traditionalism versus Chimaev's raw ferocity? Chimaev's rise has always been unorthodox. While most fighters work their way up slowly, Chimaev exploded onto the UFC scene in 2020, winning 2 fights in 10 days and aiming comparisons to legends before he had even cracked the top 10. His wrestling was suffocating, his striking brutal, and his self-belief limitless. He didn't just beat opponents, he mauled them. By the time he ragdolled Li Jingliang and went toe-to-toe with Gilbert Burns in a Fight of the Year candidate, fans began whispering that he was destined for double champ status. But that meteoric rise came with turbulence. Questions about his discipline surfaced when he missed weight by nearly 8 pounds at UFC 279, leading to a reshuffling of the entire card. Dana White defended him publicly, but insiders suggested that UFC brass were frustrated. Rumors began to swirl about training inconsistencies, conflicts with teammates, and a growing entourage more focused on hype than fight IQ. And that's where Khabib's warning seems to land hardest. For all of Chimaev's talent, there's a growing perception that he may be veering off course. Khabib himself has built a post-fighting career on discipline, loyalty, and control, mentoring Islam Makhachev, opening gyms, and creating a legacy beyond the cage. Chimaev, by contrast, thrives in chaos. His Instagram lives are wild, his quotes aggressive, his energy unpredictable. But to Chimaev, that volatility is his essence. In an interview following Khabib's comments, he doubled down on his approach. "They want me to be like everybody else," he said. "Be quiet, be humble, smile for the cameras. I'm not that guy. I'm the wolf. I hunt. I eat. I don't need anyone to tell me how to fight. I was born for this." What makes the situation more compelling is the backdrop of UFC 319. The card is shaping up to be one of the year's most stacked, and Chimaev's fight is at the center of the hype. While the UFC has yet to confirm his opponent, sources suggest it could be a clash with Sean Strickland, Paulo Costa, or even a returning Robert Whittaker. Some believe it might be for a vacant or interim title, should the current champion be sidelined. In any case, the stakes are enormous. Yet even as Chimaev prepares for war in the octagon, the real battle may be happening outside it, against critics, doubters, and the ghosts of fighters who rose too fast, burned too brightly, and crashed too soon. For every fan who believes Chimaev is the future, another worries he could become the next cautionary tale. That concern isn't lost on Khabib. In a follow-up interview, he softened his tone but remained firm in his message. I don't speak because I want attention. I speak because I care about this sport. I've seen many fighters destroy themselves with pride. If Khamzat listens, maybe it helps him. If not, he will learn another way. Interestingly, other fighters have started weighing in. Islam Makhachev, Khabib's protege and current lightweight king, kept it diplomatic. Khamzat is strong, very strong, but he must be careful. This game is hard. Every fight, every camp, it tests your soul. Meanwhile, Gilbert Burns, who nearly beat Chimaev in their epic battle, said, "He's a beast, no question. But I saw him bleed. I saw him struggle. He's not invincible. If he doesn't evolve, someone will stop him." Even UFC President Dana White chimed in. In a media scrum, he was asked whether he thought Khabib and Chimaev were on a collision course of ideologies. White smirked. "That's the beautiful thing about this sport," he said. "You've got guys like Khabib who are all about control, and then you've got guys like Khamzat who want to burn the house down. They both win. But yeah, Khabib's right. Fame can mess with your head. And perhaps that's the crux of it. Chimaev isn't just fighting opponents anymore. He's battling the narrative around him. To some, he's the next big thing. To others, he's already peaked. He's caught between admiration and suspicion, between being the future and being a fluke. And as UFC 319 approaches, the weight of that duality may be heavier than any opponent's fists. In the gym, however, Chimaev looks unbothered. Training footage shows him sparring with heavyweights, dominating grappling exchanges, and laughing between rounds. His coaches insist he's sharper than ever, more focused than the media portrays. "This is the best Khamzat we've seen," one said. "People forget he's still learning, still growing. He hasn't even hit his prime." Yet the questions remain. Has Chimaev matured enough to navigate the next chapter of his career? Can he handle the pressure of being both a destroyer and a target? And will he heed the warnings of a man who once ruled the sport without ever losing a round? Khabib's concern is rooted in history. He's watched countless prospects lose their edge once they tasted fame. He's seen how entourages can poison a fighter's focus. He's been in locker rooms after losses that could have been avoided with better decisions outside the cage. That's the experience he brings to his warning. Not jealousy, not rivalry, but perspective. Chimaev, however, sees things differently. In his eyes, the critics don't understand his fire. "They talk too much," he said recently. "I don't care who says what. I do my job. I fight. Let them talk. Let them doubt. I'll show them." And maybe that's the only answer that matters. In the end, Chimaev's fists, not his words, will tell the story. UFC 319 will be the proving ground. A win could propel him into superstardom. A loss, especially one that exposes holes in his game, could confirm the doubts swirling around him. As the fight nears, anticipation builds. Fans debate endlessly online. Old-school purists hope for humility. New-age thrill-seekers cheer for chaos. And in the middle stands a fighter who defies categories, a Chechen brawler raised in Sweden, feared by opponents, adored by fans, worn by legends. The weigh-in will be scrutinized. The stare-downs will be electric. But nothing will match the drama of the opening bell. When Chimaev steps into the cage, carrying not just his ambitions but the expectations of an entire sport. He won't just be fighting for victory. He'll be fighting for his identity, for his future, and perhaps, in a deepest sense, for redemption. Because if Khabib is right, if discipline and focus are the ultimate keys to greatness, then Chimaev's path forward is more precarious than it seems. Talent alone isn't enough. Rage alone isn't enough. There's a reason so few remain at the top. But if Chimaev is right, if raw willpower, animal instinct, and a refusal to be molded can forge a champion, then the UFC may be witnessing the rise of a new kind of king. Whichever truth emerges at UFC 319, it will reverberate across the MMA world. The cage won't just hold a fight, it will hold a reckoning. And in that reckoning, Khabib's warning will echo loudly. Let me know if you'd like this turned into a PDF, DeKex, blog-ready version, or want a follow-up article after UFC 319.